One, it's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob. Today is March 14th, 2021, and today we're obviously going to talk about the major blizzard that's impacting a lot of the Midwest states, and we'll also talk about the next potential severe weather threat that will impact the Southeast, and also the potential snow event that could happen in the Northeast this week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So, taking a look at the current radar, you see that there's a large area of thunder showers and thunderstorms extending from Nebraska all the way down south, as far south as Texas. However, most of these storms, if not all of these storms, are not severe, mainly because the storm is beginning to now lose a lot of its unstable air that was really getting these thunderstorms going, really developing these thunderstorms to the point that where it's severe. However, now since the low pressure, like I said, has cut off from the jet stream, there isn't really a driving force that's forcing a lot of cold air to entrain this low pressure system. So as a result, there isn't very high instability anymore in this region. There's only so much cold air that the low pressure could use up before it warms up to the point where the atmosphere becomes more stable, and as a result, there's now less likely of a chance from this storm from here on out that we're going to see any sort of severe weather. Maybe a slight risk because there's still definitely some unstable air maintaining the strength of the storm. However, it won't be anywhere near as bad. It won't be anywhere nearly as bad as, let's say, yesterday, where the severe weather was numerous throughout Texas, to say the least. And throughout the Midwest states, you see that there's an extending band of snow. We do see some heavier snow in northern Nebraska as well as South Dakota, and we do see some isolated snow showers through Wyoming and Colorado, as now the low pressure system is gonna move slowly out into the east. Right now, the steering flow surrounding this low pressure system is very weak, so as a result, we're not seeing much movement of this storm, and it's going to move relatively slow as a result, thanks to it being cut off from the jet stream. And the jet stream winds are what really pushes these storms very fast into the east, and that's clearly not going to be the case for this low pressure system. So, which is one of the reasons why we've seen so much snow throughout Wyoming and Colorado, because this storm just is going to stay over the same areas for a very long time, extending through Rapid City and into Denver, Colorado. And if we zoom in to Denver, Colorado, you see you guys are in a heavy snow band, and if we take a look at the radar loop, it's been over the same area for several hours. Despite how small and narrow this band of snow is, it's pretty much lingering over the same area, which is making the snowfall, which is just bringing heavy snowfall and high snowfall accumulation amounts throughout Denver. And then headed further north, the snow is a little lighter now. Maybe it might increase once daytime heating really gets going in the south, because then more convection will occur to allow for higher rates of precipitation. But at this point, it won't be anywhere near as bad as, let's say, last night, where the snow was very heavy at times for a lot of Wyoming. And this storm will slowly move to the east, so conditions should at least be improving for you guys right around Wyoming and Colorado. If you take a look at the radar, you see that the snow moves further to the east, and by around very early Monday to late Sunday, most of the snow is pretty much gone from Wyoming and Colorado, outside of the isolated snow showers. So as a result, the conditions will improve. The snow plows will definitely start shoveling the streets, and conditions on the road should definitely be better headed into later tonight once that snow slows down. However, the snow will not slow down further eastward, where this storm will move, and in areas in South Dakota and northern Nebraska, and even extending to Iowa, you could see snow heavy at times very early on Monday, where we do see some of the heavier snow squalls forming right around South Dakota and Iowa as a result of the amount of thunderstorms that are moving into the freezing line, which means that all that heavy rain that you're experiencing further south due to thunderstorms will change over the snow and bring the heavier snow to Iowa, which would, I think, make a major snowstorm threat for a lot of you guys. And this even extends to Illinois. Chicago could get into some of the snowfall, as well as Wisconsin, where we do see some snow forming southward in Wisconsin, and there's a lot of heavy rain and thunderstorm activity further south. It won't be severe most likely, but at least be aware of that headed into your Monday morning, right around, pretty much right along the Mississippi River Valley, around St. Louis and Springfield, Illinois needs to keep close eye on this. Paducah, Kentucky as well. Once it heads further eastward, as a result of just a lack of unstable air that's going to be behind it, like I've been saying. Because if we take a look at the GFS model, while there is a little bit of cold air still entraining the low pressure system at this point, eventually, since it's cut off from the jet stream winds, the strong jet stream winds, which would steer the cold air further southward and into low pressure system, since it's cut off from that source of cold air, it's really gonna move. It really won't have enough cold air to maintain its strength, and eventually that cold air will warm up once it heads further eastward, where we're seeing a strong driving force of warm air from the Gulf of Mexico entrain this storm and really warm up the cool air that was surrounding this storm a little earlier, and the air molecules will start to move a lot more. We're going to see a lot more heat as a result of the increased amount of work within the cooler air molecules that were more static than the warmer air molecules, and as a result we're going to see this low pressure system, the cold air, warm up, and the air will become more stable, which means that this storm will weaken once it moves further eastward. Originally the computer models were forecasting this storm to maybe bring another potentially big snowstorm event to the Northeast and the Great Lakes, but at this point that forecast run is now less likely. The computer models are now leaning towards bringing a less likely snowfall forecast throughout New York City and throughout the Northeast overall. So as a result of this storm weakening, there's less likely of a chance it's going to bring any sort of snowstorm to the Northeast, which might be unfortunate for you guys hoping for snow. But there could maybe be a chance of snow within this next low pressure system, while the chances are now lower than what the computer models were originally expecting, mainly because there's going to be too much warm air throughout the Northeast to really bring much of any snowfall. There's still that possibility, depending on the timing of this and how fast this ridge moves further southward, because if it moves just a little bit southward, there is certainly that possibility of snow in the Northeast. If we take a look at what the European model is forecasting, you see that the European is taking a little bit of snow through the Midwest, so you need to keep an eye on that. And then the European does take a similar track to GFS. However, the big difference, the elephant in the room, is that there's some snow within the European forecast model run. It isn't a ton of snow, but it is still at least some snow, and there's still, since we're forecasting this right around 5 days out, there's still that possibility that this snowstorm could be bigger than what we'd expect. But at this point, I'd expect this to be a small snowstorm. If we do have any sort of snow, if we do get any sort of snow from this storm, so I wouldn't expect much at this point in terms of snow for the Northeast. However, at least be aware of it, especially if you're in the mid-Atlantic states, where you could receive a little bit of snow, and even that small amount of snow could definitely cause some problems on the road. So you at least want to be aware of this headed into Thursday and into Friday, once this storm really gets close to you guys, and could bring the possibility of snow. And it really all depends on how fast this ridge moves, because if it moves faster towards the south, then there's more likely of a chance of not only a stronger storm thanks to the increased unstable air that this ridge is going to bring further southward to interact with that warm air, but there's also that increased chance that you're going to experience much more snowfall in the Northeast. So we just need to wait and see what happens with this storm, but in the Northeast, but at least be aware of it. If the European models forecast when it comes to snow is, let's say, 100% correct, this would be its total snowfall accumulation, assuming 1 inch of rain equates to 10 inches of snow. So if we take a look at that, you're going to see that the European does bring a decent amount of snow through the northeast. As you can see, there's a good area of 1 to 3 right around New York City and New Jersey. However, it does increase further westward, where we do see areas of 3 to 6 inches and even localized areas over 6 inches of snow. So this maybe could be worse than we'd expect, but at this point, it's don't expect it to be this major blockbuster snowstorm. But however, it could maybe change, but I'd say more likely this will be a small snowstorm if we do get any sort of snow, and there's still certainly a possibility we don't get any snow from this. So be aware, but at least be aware of it in the northeast. But outside of this potential snow we could see in the northeast, we also have to keep in mind of maybe a severe weather threat that could impact the southeast later during the week, with this next low pressure system as well on the southern side of it. Because if we move forward, while this current low pressure system that you guys are experiencing in the Midwest and throughout the Mississippi River Valley isn't really going to bring a good chance of severe weather anymore, maybe a slight chance because of the lack of unstable air, this next low pressure system certainly does have the chance to bring a decent severe weather threat throughout the Midwest. Because you see, as this low pressure system comes off the California coast, you see as it moves further eastward, it's going to entrain just enough cold air to interact with that very warm Gulf of Mexico air, and that will create very high instability through this region to create very strong updrafts and buoyant air molecules to create just very powerful thunderstorms, which is certainly possible by how much unstable air will be pretty much entrained within the low pressure system. And you see thunderstorms extend throughout the southeast states and a lot of heavy rain as well. You see a large area is experiencing higher than usual rainfall rates based off of the the European model, and this could certainly cause flooding, which is a concern. And even further to the northeast, you see that there's a large area of rain extending pretty much from Illinois all the way to the East Coast, and the rain is very compact. There isn't like a lot of dry slots throughout this rain, as it's pretty much just straight rainfall throughout a lot of the mid-Atlantic states, which is a concern when it comes to flooding. If we take a look at the 5-day rain forecast in terms of inches, you see that there are some areas in the southeast that could experience up to 5 inches of rain. There's still a lot of uncertainty because, again, we're forecasting this 4 or 5 days out, but this rain could extend even to the mid-Atlantic states. So this could be a concern for a lot of you guys, especially if your rivers are very high throughout the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and the Midwest. So just keep that in mind. And in terms of the severe weather threat, day 3, this is on Wednesday. You see that there's a pretty good chance of severe weather throughout Oklahoma and Kansas. And if we look even further than that to see the severe weather threat, you see there's currently a pretty high chance of severe weather day 4 right around Thursday throughout Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama, as there's going to be just very high instability in this region. Let's take a look at the temperature, the 2-meter temperature, to really get the idea of how much unstable air will be located in the southeast from this next storm. And you're gonna see that there's that right around Thursday, you see that there's a dip right here in terms of temperatures throughout Tennessee, and there's a stark contrast because in one area you're around 80 degrees in Georgia, but only around 100 miles to the north and east, to the north and west, you're already in the 50-degree temperatures, which is just high unstable air, which is pretty much asking for a very potent severe weather threat. And the upper level winds will be there to support very severe weather threat, which represent and the upper level winds represent very strong instability in the mid levels of the atmosphere, which pretty much sets the stage for a lot of thunderstorm activity to occur when unstable air is that high. And you see this at this point, and you see this far south, you see that there's a lot of very strong upper level winds. The low pressure is located right here, and you might be thinking that how about up north where there's strong upper level winds over there? Shouldn't there be a severe weather threat over there? However, this is too far north. The temperature isn't high enough to support very high amounts of water vapor, which would create latent heat to create those thunderstorms. So as a result, there isn't going to be a severe weather threat here despite the strong upper level winds, because the temperature simply isn't warm enough to support enough water vapor that could produce latent heat for these thunderstorms to feed off of. However, when we're talking about a low pressure system bringing strong upper level winds this far south, there's certainly the risk and the high risk of severe weathers. So there's still a lot of uncertainty because it's 4 days out, but I think more likely than not we will experience a severe weather threat in the southeast, which could lead to tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. So be prepared for that if you're in the southeast, because this could potentially be major and life-threatening if you don't take the right precautions during a severe thunderstorm or tornado. So keep a close eye on that in the southeast. In terms of the map, I mean, there is some snow possible in the northeast. I wouldn't discount it, but don't be surprised if you don't get any snow in the northeast. And at this point, a blockbuster snowstorm in the northeast doesn't seem likely, mainly because there isn't going to be enough cold air to really make it an all snow event. And this storm is going to move relatively fast to the east to really bring any major snowfall to the northeast. And in the southeast, obviously, you need to keep a close eye on the major severe weather threat, which I believe could definitely be impactful, bringing tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. And obviously throughout the Midwest, while obviously there isn't too additional feet of snow you should expect throughout Wyoming and Colorado, since most of the snow I'd say has already fallen. But in terms of total snowfall accumulation, this would be right around the ballpark in terms of how much snowfall accumulation you should receive. You probably have already received from the storm, on top of what you will receive over the next couple of hours before the storm is all said and done. So this would be a major snowstorm for you guys. Make sure to stay indoors if you're still under the heavy snow, and make sure to prepare right around Iowa, even extending to Illinois, Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, because you guys will experience a major snowstorm threat, and we could see very high snowfall rates at times throughout those states. So keep a close eye on that throughout the Midwest. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day.